figure out how Samus would die in the series, because she's not like Link, where there's multiple iterations, or Mario. Well, he's just Mario.
Yeah.
So we're trying to figure out how she would die, because we know that she's going to be, after Metroid Fusion, we know she's going to pretty much permanently be in the Fusion suit.
Yeah.
And it's been confirmed that the storyline for Metroid Dread is there. They just need to make the game, which, if they're ever going to do that, is
Yeah.
debatable.
Yeah.
But we
It's
eventually kind of came to the conclusion that if Samus is going to die in any game coming soon, it would be Dread.
yeah. Assuming that gets a made of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and even then, I would, even though my fanboy would be like, no, don't do it. It'd be sort of a difficult thing to do, because if anything that the game is showing you is that you can, what would be the breaking point for that to happen after you survive the X parasites, you survive phase on corruption, you you've survived Dark Aether, you've survived all these other things um, that seem to be world galaxy ending, and you're the only person who's didn't get fully infected by the corruption. You're the so far the only sole survivor of an X parasite infestation. You went down on Sebes, you wiped out all the Metroids, which are supposed to be quote unquote invincible. Um, so I've always took it to the point that might have been something to do with the Chozo DNA,
Yeah,
kind of making Samus not completely indestructible, but the Varia suit pretty much making Samus a rock solid tank.
yep.
She's by all means she's still a woman wearing an armor,
Mm-hmm.
um,
She
but
just she knows how to utilize it better than anyone else in the galaxy.
she knows how to utilize it better than anyone else, and she's got the experience. Because if you think about it, she's the only, as far as we know, she's the only remaining person to have been trained by the Chozo, which have been sort of meant to be seen as the alpha race of the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
They could have dominated the galaxy if they chose to. And Samus is here basically being not completely invincible, but very close to it. So I think the better thing would be, how do you destroy the Varia suit of sorts, and that be
Kind of the
the,
same way they did at the beginning of Metroid Prime, just a little explosion.
yeah, just put a small concussive blast that
Yeah,
cuts Samus off guard. I always saw that to be extremely silly. Even the first time I
yeah.
played it when I was a kid, and I was like, "Wait, what?"
It's crazy.
uh,
It really is. Like it's
yeah,
that's one of the only games apart from like Other M that really explains why Samus loses her power ups
power
at
ups,
the beginning of every game.
and that and fusion.
Yeah, Fusion does it too.
Yeah, but essentially, for me, it's been like, it's really hard for me to see that, because then you take in consideration moments like, say, Zero Mission sneaking section, where Samus is literally in her Zero suit and she managed to just scrape by an entire space pirate fleet
Yeah, with only a stun pistol.
with only a stun pistol. So it really comes to the point that when you try and defeat or kill Samus, you really have to bring out the big guns,
Hmm.
and then by that I mean you need to find something like Phazon
Um,
or
my headcanon on how she would die is probably she would realize that she's fulfilled her purpose. She's fulfilled what the Chozo have trained her to do, so she would when death comes, she'd probably accept it. She'd just
yeah,
embrace it.
yeah. For me, in my case, I can only really see it happening if it's canon that the space pirates and pieces finally been brought to space. Period.
Yeah.
Um, and even then, I wouldn't see so much as Samus like, okay, my mission's done. I got nothing else to do, but more like,
Yeah, but
well,
you go ahead.
it's more like, well, it's the peace times have come. It's time for me to learn a new job, and I don't know.
Yeah, but you also
So
can't really see Samus settling down with a husband and having a few kids
no, no,
now, can you?
I'm not saying that, but you know, she can still work as an engineer.
Yeah.
were training some kids, doing some karate lessons, history tutor because come on, all the supposed history about the Chozo. Maybe she writes a book about her adventures and it becomes a New York Times bestseller. Um, all these things can be like equally doable. I think that pairing Samus and having her settle down with a family will probably be the most stupid thing ever.
Yeah, I
Um,
wouldn't be happy with that ending. That ending
I
would
don't
be
think no
pretty
one will
cheap.
be happy with that ending. Um, because it's
Well,
31 years
you never
of
know.
Samus by herself. No, I know if they didn't do it in Other M, I don't think they're going to do it anymore.
Well, Other M was a commercial success in Japan, at least. So
Exactly, but they still receive backlash to this day.
yeah,
Like it's to the point that like I know it's the internet, but it's been 7 years and people are still complaining about Other M.
yeah, and I feel
Um,
because of all the backlash they got from Other M, that's one of the biggest reasons why Nintendo is kind of
yeah,
treading lightly with Metroid
yeah,
and not releasing them like they have with Mario and Zelda. Because if it
yeah.
weren't for that backlash, I feel they really would.
I agree. I think it's also worth considering that another side of that same coin is that according to Miyamoto, it's kind of the same reason they haven't done F Zeros because what do we do with the series of sorts? And I know that for a fact, Nintendo they kind of need to do a twist on the game before it can get a sequel, which always makes begs the question: how come Splatoon 2 got a sequel when I see it more as Splatoon 1.5? Um,
Yeah, I feel that's just because the Wii U was such a failure, but Splatoon was such a critically
so
praised game, so they
yeah,
felt
it
they
makes
had to get
sense
it
to
on
bring
their new
Splatoon to the
system.
Switch. It makes total sense. But I really felt like okay, they wanted to go back, learn from their mistakes, and it was mostly to the point that I really felt that after Other M, and then this is kind of going to the people who are saying that Nintendo's just releasing Samus Returns as a way to cash grab on the hype for AM2R.
Hmm.
And it's more like games take at least Nintendo games at least take them like about 4 years to make or so. So if Samus Return is coming out this year, it's we could say that it's been in development since 2013, or pretty much they give the gap between after Other M's release, and they're working on a new system with a new production company with Mercury Systems,
Yeah.
and it's essentially how do we go for here. And on the side, Kensuke Tanabe was probably still trying to figure out how what do we do with Prime 4 if we ever get to do it, because I feel that after Other M came out is when they sort of started production for both Samus Returns and Federation Force, a
Yeah.
little bit right next to each other, and that's the only way I can really see it as they announced it this E3 and it's coming in less than a month.
Um, yeah. And like I know that at least Samus Returns has been in development for at least since 2015 because we had, or maybe 2014. I don't
Yeah,
remember when this was because Iwata was interviewed and he was asked if they plan on releasing any Metroid games anytime soon, and he said something about we have two games very early in development or something,
yeah,
and
it was back
that's
at
all he said.
yeah he said that I believe was like they had one planned for the Wii U and one for the 3DS. And when Federation Force came out, obviously everybody thought that it was Federation Force what he was
Hmm.
um, referring to. Um, but at the same time, I feel that seeing how the Wii U was such a failure of sorts, it made more sense to ship Gears into the 3DS console while they developed the Switch
Yeah.
behind the scenes. And now that the Switch is out and Nintendo's been have the Nintendo developers have had it for some time, is when you can properly start production of Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah.
Um,
And
uh,
we
I,
almost had
I
a
still say they should have probably announced Samus Returns last year
yeah.
during especially
We
during the 30th anniversary. I'm just saying that, but I know why
mhm.
they didn't do it because if not, other Federation Force wasn't. Federation's Force would have sold even less if they did that.
Yeah, and probably that game wasn't in a very good and presentable state at that point.
Yeah.
Um,
I feel that they had something presentable, considering that it's only been a year and they announced it this year to be released this year. not too far away from the point that it was announced. So even just a teaser trailer of sorts.
Hmm. And
Um,
yeah, I guess I see what you're saying
keep
because we
keep in
got the
mind that
trailer
when
for
they
Prime
announced
4, and that's
Federation,
like literally all
yeah,
we have is a title screen. That's probably not
yeah,
coming
we,
out
we
until
only have
like
a we
2019.
all we're, exactly we all have is just a JPEG of Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah.
Um, but it's worth considering that when Federation Force was shown for the first time, it was like still in development, so the graphics were very choppy and very lackluster compared to the final release of the game.
Hmm. And I
Which
feel a lot of games shown at E3 are that way, but sometimes it's kind of the
the
reverse.
the reverse when you with Ubisoft.
Primarily Ubisoft, sometimes Activision,
Yeah, sometimes Activision.
almost
Uh,
always EA.
oh, if you trust EA, there's some you got some serious trust issues, dude.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
you,
if
you
you
know how to
trust
treat.
EA to make a sports game with microtransactions every year, then yeah, good.
Yeah. I don't really. I'm honestly. I guess there's no surprise here. Obviously a bigger Nintendo fan than any other company and or system, but it still just bogs me about most of the Western practices when it comes to making games recently.
Hmm.
Where it's more like let's try to get the game out to make some money. Um, Compared to like saying watching because it's kind of funny when you consider Square Enix made in a way the latest Deus Ex game that came out last year sorts, and it was kind of 50-50 ish.
Yep.
But then this year they just turn around and they released Nier Automata, which my eyes is one of the best games I've ever played. um
Yeah, I
so it's
haven't given that game a shot yet. I'll have to pick that one up.
it's really good if you're into the whole hack and slash shoot 'em up. It's really great. And coming from a bit biased because I've been a fan of Yoko Taro, and sort of his crazy way and great way of storytelling. I feel like he's really the best storyteller that we have in terms of video games. He really knows how to use the element that you're playing a game to tell a story perfectly. Because it's
Hmm.
not only taking consideration you controlling the characters, but how you feel about controlling the characters, and so
Yeah.
without being experimental. It's a game that is using the platform of a game to tell a story.
Yeah, and I actually just had a thought about a Metroid game on the Wii U. Did you ever play Batman Arkham Asylum
Yeah,
on the Wii U?
yeah. Well, not on the Wii U, but I got to play it the PS3 when it first
Okay.
came out.
Because on the Wii U version of that game used the gamepad to show certain information, like a lot of games early in the Wii U's lifespan did.
Which I
Um,
which is something I really loved.
yeah, I love that too. And the way it was implemented is Batman had kind of a tablet connected to his arm.
Yeah,
Um,
I remember the like the sort of the cryptor.
mhm. I
Um,
wonder if the how that would work in Metroid. I like if it's implemented in the same way that Batman implemented, I feel it would work pretty well.
yeah, I would have said something more attuned to Xenoblade Chronicles X,
Hmm.
which is
Yeah,
my
that
other
actually.
favorite game, where the tablet was sort of like your, I forgot what it's called exactly, but it was like your net vision or navigational system,
Mhm.
which every Blade member from that game sort of had. So it's the whole point of exploring the new planet that we're gonna live in. So everybody's contributing to this giant wiki of sorts to expand the map. So I feel that if Metroid was on the Wii U, it would have been I believe two cool things that could have happened is use that as a map system and for your lore and your scans. Um, and the more annoying yet cool is like if you put the scan visor for sorts, your gamepad is the scan visor, so you only lift it up to the screen to see what's scannable. So that way you don't have to change between visors. So you can kind of shoot while you scan at the same time of sorts.
Yeah, that would actually work pretty well.
So you
And
can have
that
like two visors working at the same time.
there's actually still kind of a chance for that with the DS if
Yeah,
they like who knows, like I know Reggie was saying like, oh, the Switch will not kill the 3DS, and like a month ago I saw an article saying that Nintendo is stopping production of the new 3DS, the Japanese version.
Yeah.
of the new 3DS.
Well, I think it was that they were stopping the small